Okay, welcome to another episode of The Visual Div. I'm Matt, and I'm here with my co-host, Ailín. Co-host, Ailín. How are you doing, Ailín? Sorry about that.
Your host. So first of all, I was demoted to co-host, and now I'm just demoted further to coast. Maybe it's like a Freudian slip because I do live on the coast.
Yeah, I also live on the coast, technically, as well. So we're just coasters. We're coasters.
Yeah, we're just coasting through life.
We're podcast coasters. We'll have to check with podcasters. I think we might have to check with our podcast consultant, Jack Redley, as if that is an actual permitted term to use, or we might have invented something that we just have to claim as our own.
Should we just rebrand to the podcast?
The podcast. I'm definitely updating my LinkedIn with I'm a Webflow dev. I'm a mentor. I put that on recently, which is quite funny. And I'm a coaster, a podcoaster.
A podcoaster.
Yeah, I reckon I'll get a few intriguing likes, comments.
Welcome to the podcoast.fm.
No, it's not a podcast. We are podcoasters.
Oh, podcoasters.
Yeah, anyone could be a podcoaster. We can't actually nail down that brand. It's like it's a verb, isn't it? You're a podcaster. Well,
I was kind of thinking that we were podcastinators.
I think is that got a twist?
Basically, it means that we're just like recording our chat where we do nothing. It's like pretend working. And by virtue of the fact that we recorded and posted, it means we've technically done work, but we're not. We're just podcastinating. Podcast.
The reason we're doing a podcastinator is so we put off all the other work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So this is a great way to generate some interest in what we do. So if there's any clients out there, you would love to know that we don't actually do much work.
We have lots of work, but we'd rather chat to each other about stuff.
I think this is what happens when you're working remotely and you're just like looking at four walls.
Anyway, like we're 2 minutes 50 seconds in, and we've got to follow Jack's advice this time, which is tell people what we might be talking about. Now, we don't actually know what we're going to talk about, so it's a bit hard to do. But what might we talk about in the next 10, 15, 20, 60 minutes?
Well, there was a bit of kerfuffle there on the old Twitter.
Kerfuffle. I love that word.
Kerfuffle on the Twitter spaces, Twitter sphere there last week. Yeah, there was just a bit of chat about getting strikes on YouTube and content creation, and where do you draw the line between promotion and work being, uncredited and that kind of stuff. So, and there was tons of different opinions on it, and even it kind of brought me around to remembering a time where we mentioned before that I've done a few jobs for helicopter leasing companies. And in the most recent one, we just did one there during the summer. And in the research phase of that, we found that a pretty sizable helicopter, I don't know if it's a manufacturing company or a leasing company, but a company in the helicopters economy had literally copied our design. Our hero image design, pretty much down to the T, but not only the hero design, they did the exact same photo. And it was just like, what? And I said it to the designer that I was working with, and he kind of brushed it off by saying it's the best form of flattery. And we didn't take it any further. But it was a bit jarring. I was like, whoa, that's what we designed for this other company last year. And then I was kind of thinking about it, like we didn't have exclusive rights to the photo, and then there was a few kind of things there where maybe we I don't know if we would have had a case, but we didn't follow it any further. But yeah, it's just interesting. I don't know what we should have done, what we shouldn't have done, but anyway, we just took it as a compliment and left. But it's probably not the most successful approach. I don't know.
No,
But,
well, I
yeah.
think it like there might. I think there's a different scale. I think like we were talking about it offline earlier, weren't we? About the small guy and the big guys. You know, we like recently with the Rugby World Cup, the owners of the the footage from all the video from all the games, was being very, very strict on who could use that footage. So in previous World Cups, you get a lot of, let's call them armchair pundits, but really good armchair pundits who would look at a game and after that game spend 2 or 3 hours chopping footage, putting little commentary, little notes and all sorts of stuff on this and releasing it, and people would lap it up. It was brilliant. You'd get, and it was amazing because you just get lots of different insights. It wouldn't just be the insights you get off the main media stations that were showing the game. You would get some really smart insights from bedroom keyboard warriors, essentially. And what happened this year was World Rugby went, you're not allowed to use any footage. Nada. And they started striking YouTube channels all over the place. Started banning videos.
It was even just
everywhere,
people
wasn't it?
posting things on Twitter.
Yeah.
Unless it was original content. So the only stuff that didn't get struck was one's own footage from the rugby matches.
Yes, if you're in the stadium and you had it in your own phone and it was an original, then it was permitted. But what the reason I say that is because World Rugby are they're big, they're huge, they got enough money and lawyers behind them to go around striking people. Whereas when it came down to your example there, you're a team of two. You've got a dev and a designer, and in good faith, you're building for a client who may, I don't know, 10, 15 grand project. You design it, you build it, and then a fellow 10 or 15 grand project gets built by someone else using exactly the same design and, to all intents and purposes, the same kind of build. You can't go around going, hey guys, look, I'm going to take you to court, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But in the media landscape now, where we've got YouTube and Twitter and Snapchat and TikTok, I always call it TokTik because I'm not entirely sure what TikTok is yet. I haven't actually delved into that.
That's because you're in your 40s. Don't worry about
it. Is that there are automated ways to strike people, essentially. And what I mean by striking is that you can complain about someone, and then that platform has to take a stance on whether they register that as a valid complaint. And then there's things like on YouTube, if you get 3 complaints, 3 strikes, then your channel can be taken down and banished to the cupboards forever. And the same with Twitter, like sometimes accounts just disappear from Twitter and no one knows why. It's because they've said something or retweeted something or and it's crazy. But it means that actually that if you produce content and then someone else goes and takes that content, whether it's by mistake or whether it's not intentional or it hasn't got any malice to it, that person can go, hey, you're not allowed to do that, and file a report on YouTube or Twitter or wherever, and people can take down really valid use cases of using media. And that's what's happened, I think, in the last week or so in the more the educational space. It's like people are, and it's odd because I got into Webflow through a platform called Makerpad, and Makerpad was a community of people. A guy called Ben Tossell, who subsequently sold it to Zapier, but his thing was, I'm going to build clones of Airbnb, and I'm going to build a clone of this and he showed people how to do it. Now he didn't copy stuff. Like Airbnb is a publicly available website. He took inspiration from that and said, look, here's a property and here's an image and here's a title and here's a rating, and I'm going to show you how to build it with no-code tools. And in that instance, Airbnb might go, oh, well, you're not allowed to copy my design. We've spent millions on a design team and design workshops, but in that instance, they're probably not going to go after someone like Ben or Makerpad. The individual design of client sites, so someone has paid me to design a site for them, and then a couple of weeks later or a couple of months later, someone else has taken that exact design and applied it to another helicopter website, for example. It's a murky ground because it's like, who owns that design? Like, is it nasty to go and copy people's stuff? The world of Dribbble is full of, Dribbble was based off people put up designs and other people kind of mimic them with a slight twist. So it's a really interesting thing, and I guess the educational space is even more complex, where you might use or you might see a website that you think is, oh man, this is so cool. I'm gonna teach people how to build it in Squarespace. I'm going to teach people how to build it in Webflow. I'm going to teach people how to do it in Framer. Like, that's a positive for the community. But when you look under the skin, is it a negative for the person or the agency that built it in the first place, that did all that hard work of working out, what design system to use, the way it looks, the feel, the UX, the UI, everything like that, and then someone else comes along and goes, hey, don't worry, in 2 hours in this tutorial you can build it yourself, and then everyone starts using that design. I don't know, it's a tough one. It's such a murky area. But I don't know how I'd feel.
I know I was pretty pissed off when I saw what I saw with that other with that bigger company, and I suppose you kind of accidentally touched on something there. I can show you in 2 hours how to do this. Like, it's much easier to reverse engineer something than it is to come up with something new. And like, we are all standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, we're all borrowing and adapting our builds and our designs based off of previous iterations. And things are in trend and things are in vogue. And styles and fashions kind of move. Every 6 months there'd be something new and shiny that we're all trying to do or implement. But yeah, it's so complex, I suppose. Like, if it's an exact replica, like, yeah, that's pretty tough to take. If it's a reverse engineering of it, I don't know. Like, I don't know where the kind of the line is with these kind of things. It's really, it's a really strange kind of environment to be exposed to and be in this kind of situation. So yeah, like, it's I suppose when it comes to things like YouTube and what you were saying about their striking rules, it's such, like, the rules aren't grey. The rules are black and white, but the world of YouTube is so grey.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, if you dare try and do anything with a Guns N' Roses song, try and teach a Guns N' Roses song, try and do a review on a Guns N' Roses song, that video is guaranteed going to get demonetized. Absolutely. And I don't know who the company is that owns the rights to Guns N' Roses, but they're very, very strict. But then there's other music out there that you can make as much money as you want through YouTube, and their lawyers won't come after you. But there's no reason why they can't. And this is why the world of YouTube is so interesting, because there is a lot of incredible content out there that is based off of other people's work. And it only is a problem when someone decides to enforce those rules. And you 100% as a creator, you could be completely blindsided. You could do something 10, 20, 100 times and no one says anything. And you're just like, in complete good faith, you believe you're doing something that is, beneficial or positive, and then you could just be like, "What? How did that happen? What? I didn't know I was doing something wrong. I didn't realize that."
Yeah.
But it's like with all these social media platforms, you're signing up to it, and you're just like, click, yeah, I accept that, I accept that, I accept that, and before you know it, you're accepting that you're, if you do something wrong, that you have to give away your firstborn child. Like, you don't even realize the TOS that you're signing up to. So yeah,
it's funny. There's something on the radio, not to go offline, but an offline example was an Irish artist painted the Heinz baked beans tins, like the Heinz range, that had tomato ketchup and this and the famous Heinz stuff, and they were in Dublin actually at one of the art fairs. Well, not even an art fair, it's like an art market that happens once a month, last Sunday of the month. And this very well turned out lawyer walked up to this lady and said, "Excuse me, I'm from Heinz, and you are selling prints of a trademarked image. In fact, 3 or 4 of your paintings are," and she was selling them for $20 or something.
No,
I said, "Yeah, please, can you stop that?" Anyway, she took the details of the artist. It turns out that the artist said, "Yeah, okay, sorry. Okay, I'm not going to do any more of these." Turns out in the meantime, the lawyer had sent this report or this observation to headquarters, and the headquarters in the US had gone, "Oh my, we love these paintings. Can we have them for our boardroom?" And
amazing.
Wind on 10 years, this artist is now being commissioned, and she does a range of Heinz art that go on tea towels, on cups, on, like, they were sold in John Lewis in the UK, one of the biggest department stores in the UK. You could go in and buy her art on a Heinz commissioned piece of, like, a tea towel or a tote bag, and they're one of the biggest non-food items that Heinz sells. And
What?
she is low, like, she doesn't need to go to the art market anymore and sell her stuff.
That's so that I was about to get really like frustrated and mad there. Like, God, a big corporation is taking down this tiny little artist. I'm never eating beans again. Now I'm like, I'm going to go buy some Heinz beans. Jeez, I'm so fickle, aren't I?
No, but that's I guess that's the thing, is like the difference between you saying I'm never going to buy Heinz baked beans and you wanting to buy a truckload of them is the line is so fine. And it depends what happens after, because there could be someone going, "Hey, do you know what? I'm going to rebuild your site and I'm going to show you how to do it." And that, by the creator, is like, "What? You want to use my site? You want to use my site? You're going to use my site in your example? That's amazing. Oh, well, anything I can do, I'm going to retweet that. Hey, go and see so-and-so. He built my design, And that's a great thing. On the other hand, you could have someone who goes, whoa, you're not allowed to use my site. That's it. No. My site is my site. That's it. And it doesn't come down to, there is a law, but who prosecutes on that law, who enforces that law, is almost like you're a defendant and saying, I want to charge that person with a crime against me. If that doesn't happen, no one, there's no sort of
I think that
copyright police out there,
It's a little bit simplistic, but you are right. But it is simplistic.
I'm a simple guy. Ailín, I'm a simple guy.
But the potential for this issue is far more complex. I'll just have a mind experiment here. I'm selling my services to X helicopter corporations limited, whatever the hell they are, and I'm guaranteeing them a unique experience that they will have. No other company in the world will ever have this website, because I don't use templates. We design from the ground up based off of your business needs, blah, blah, blah. And then there's 3-4 month process of starting, like, how do we get it from 0 to hero? We get it launched, we get it delivered. You get a handshake, you get a review. They're like, you're the guy. We took a risk, we trusted in you. And in all this process, there's contracts signed. And maybe they come back and say, would you sign this contract to say that you cannot use this work again?
Yeah.
You know, I'm just thinking like of situations that I've been in. And then next thing, there's an email or a phone call from Billy, the CEO of Big Helicopters Corporate Limited, going, you guaranteed me that this was unique and would never be used again. And this designer that knows you or whatever has now reverse engineered it. Like, if I got that email, I would be fucking terrified, even though it's nothing to do with me. And I would do everything in my power to make sure that whatever that legal situation doesn't land on my shoulders. And like, just going from my experience and what I've had to do building stuff for people who are, you know, medium to large size businesses, that's the stuff you're dealing with. You send them a contract guaranteeing them stuff. They come back and send you a contract. There's NDAs, there's all sorts of stuff. And you know, if they decide to, like, I couldn't fight that power if someone came to me, and it would terrify me, you know? So, but at the same time, I can empathize with someone making an honest mistake and not intending to do something maliciously, and having their whole work, their whole like back catalog being at jeopardy. You know, it's as you said there, like, it does depend on who puts the weight in a particular direction. But like, I would not want to deal with the lawyers of a big company that I've worked with, because I wouldn't win. I'm not big enough.
Yeah,
and if I did
no.
win, it would cost me a heap of money.
I think you highlight, though, that if you think about, you got the David versus Goliath example there, you know? But in a lot of instances, you've got David versus David. And I'm not saying even David versus David, you just got David and David, you know? Two relatively unknown, small, what they do in creating stuff, and they just happen to use different props at different times to inspire their creative process. So, for example, one person might go onto Dribbble and go, oh, look, Dribble's a bad example because I know Dribble's kind of going out of fashion, but they use a similar site and go...
Excuse me, Dribbble is an incredible website, and if they choose to sponsor us... No. Matt, can you stop bagging on companies?
Dribbble has been revamped and it's on its way back. It's on its way back. It needs a bit of help. It might need to sponsor a few podcasts to get right back to the top.
And, you know, we're coming up on 100 downloads, Dribbble. So we're talking bang for buck here.
Okay,
Sorry,
yeah. So creator A, let's call him, uses Dribbble and gets inspired by lots of other creative works from other creators out there, and uses that work to educate their design. And they create this fantastic design that, you know, takes education from inspiration, it takes education from the brief from the client, takes inspiration from their ideas, and boom, there's what is seen as a unique piece of website design. And then someone else comes along and goes, wow, that's really, really cool. That's doesn't need, like anything with the web, that doesn't need to be just existing on this thing for these users. I'm going to go and use this as an inspiration for teaching a certain technique or a certain approach to something. And they go away and they just say, hey, look, like X, Y, and Z, I'm going to just show you how they did it, or I'm going to show you how to do a similar effect. And they just do that. And there's no intent or purpose of like, hey, I'm going to show you how to copy this, or I'm going to steal the design here, or steal this, or steal that. It's just a case of I'm using it as a prop to do my creative thing, which is where I add value, which is I'm really good at teaching you certain techniques and how to do things. It's like, okay, well, teachers around the world use books written by lots of other people, and I guess there's a little bit of sort of permission-based. If I buy a book, I can use it to teach my kids in the classroom this, you know?
Well, I think there's a very, very distinct difference. I'm purchasing a book, you're purchasing a license essentially. Whereas,
Yeah,
you know, like we're getting into
but
tricky territory
no,
where,
you're
like,
not. But you're
I
not
don't.
purchasing a license. You're purchasing. You're put there when you buy a book. You're purchasing the right to read what is provided. You're not
Yeah,
actually.
we're getting
No,
into
no, no, no,
difficulty.
no. But this is where. But this is where the new media stuff becomes so complex. And as you said, like the YouTube thing is complex because we need to get a lawyer on here to explain. No, we don't. That'll be really boring. We need to, like, with a book, I'm reading what's between the lines, but it's very rare. Well, yeah, it's very rare
You're
that
reading the lines. You're not reading between the lines of the book.
oh yeah, I'm reading the lines. Well, I'm kind of like I kind of semi dyslexic, so I probably was reading between the lines.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't do too well at school. But I wasn't reading anything at school, to be honest. I was just drawing stuff. But no, what I'm saying is you then can't go and take chunks of that thing and use it as your own. And I think that's fair. But it's the same in the online world now. It's like if you're demoing something or using it as a prop, using that as a prop in a positive manner, I think it's great. What happens is if someone feels threatened that the stuff you're showing someone how to do, using their example, might stop them. You know, I'm rambling here, but if I created a design and I sold it to a client, and then someone came along and said, "Look, I'll show you how to do that," and then they could do that, and therefore they could sell it to another client who otherwise would have come to me. That starts to become a business problem that actually starts to impact lots of Davids, because it's like the AI stuff. The AI stuff is an interesting one. You know, like Framer have got this thing where you can copy whole websites into their website. It's like whoa, like that's you're facilitating this in a big way. Like the HTML to Webflow thing, people can now, there's a way you can get like websites into Figma, and then from Figma you can get it into Webflow. Before you know it, that someone has just facilitated copying of whole tranches of pages that you could pass off as your own. Now that I think is obviously not acceptable, but it's when you're teaching people using props, like whether you give credit or not. I think giving credit is just the smart thing to do. It's just the nice thing to do. It's the moral thing to do. But whether it's should be seen as an illegal thing to do is such a hard thing. It's not like, like your Guns N' Roses things. Like teaching kids how to play Guns N' Roses shouldn't be a crime.
Well, it's probably actually the guitar shops all around the world that just don't want to be played in the guitar shop anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually a conspiracy of collective guitar shop owners who are striking the teaching of Sweet Child of Mine. But yeah, I think I'm going to just finish on this. Like, if I spent 3 months designing and producing something, and then I saw it reverse engineered in a 20-minute video for anybody to use, I might find there's 2 ways I could look at it. Like, I could be like, oh wow, that's amazing, I'm so proud that someone has taken my work. But I could also see a part of me that's like, you're taking bread off the table here for me, because that took me 3 months and now you've just showed someone else how to do it in 20 minutes. The person that I charged 3 months work to will be like, he can do it in 20 minutes. Why did I charge you so much money? There's so many potential implications. But at the same time, I could be like, this is so cool that my work is getting promoted. It really depends on what the catalyst of that emotion is. Like, are you getting stick from the client? Is the client super proud that the work is being promoted? You don't know what's going on. And I could see myself going both directions. I could see myself being sharing it and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. My work has been shared. And then next week, like becoming a devil and hating it because my client is pissed off with me. And like the complexity of this is the complexity of the human mind and our egos and our emotions. And I could literally be thanking one person one week and suing them the next week because of the situation that I'm currently in. So I think that's the only way that I can summarize it. It's super tough. I feel bad for the creator, and in a sense, I can empathize from where the original designer developer is coming from as well. Yeah, it's fucking tough.
Yeah, no, I think I'm completely with you. To be honest, it's a case of maybe it's not even the law. It's a case of credit and communication and asking. If someone comes to you and go, Ailín, like, I really like your helicopter website. Would you mind if I use it in my classroom to teach X, Y, and Z? Because it's a really good landing page and it does X, Y, and Z. And you can turn around and go, yeah, no problem. Or you could turn around and go, do you know what? Give me a few days. I'm just going to speak to my client and ask them what they think about that, and then I'll get back to you. And as long as that, one, there's communication, and two, there's respect for the decision of the people involved, go ahead. But it's about asking. You know, you don't just go and, like, my little guy doesn't go and just take the bike that's out on the street that's to ride. It's like we go and knock on the door and say, can he use your bike? Can he use your kid's bike for 20 minutes? And they go, yes, or no, it's his birthday present and doesn't want anyone using it, or whatever the thing might be. It's all about that. And if that doesn't happen, then I suppose there needs to be a mechanic so the original creators and or clients have a way to flag that they're not happy with this. So I guess that's, yeah, you're right. It's like there's complexities behind the creation of anything. And as long as those complexities are allowed to have an airing, then we should be in a good place. Because as you said, like, you could say, yes, yeah, no problem. Go and teach how I did this. And then the client a week later says, whoa, you didn't ask me. And we're back to square one. So yeah, I tend to agree with you there. It's we could have said that in 10 minutes, to be honest. We've taken 30 minutes to come to. Hey. I enjoyed that though.
This is what the world wants. 30 minutes to get to 1 point.
you know there's like was I explain? Yeah, no, we talked about the other day about you've got a that company put on a track on Spotify that played through the night. Silent music, so they would get paid for a certain amount of length on it. Maybe that's what we've made the 30-minute mark, which means we qualify for the podcast top 10 charts now. And I don't know. We might get another swimming.
You could have kept me going there. I was just like, what? No way. Do we start getting paid now? What? You could have spun me a complete yarn there, and I'd have just been like, my God, this podcasting thing is great. We've just hit 30 minutes. Now we make money. We're in the top 10. Matt says we're in the top 10.
What we do though, we do get, and probably we'll get another badge for our swimming trunks.
Another badge?
Yeah, nice. You know, Transistor give out badges. They're not real.
You're going to start selling bomber jackets in our merch store.
Yeah, so Corey Runnels, as he mocked up the Flowman. Yeah, he mocked up a bomber jacket with the badges on. Nice. And obviously, we'll have to run this past him, but if we have another badge...
We're just going to take the design and sell it. Okay, I think I'm...
We need to go. No, anyway. Yeah, thanks for listening. And Ailín, I'll catch you later in the week, no doubt.
Yeah, man. That was good. It was a tricky one to navigate. But yeah, with your skill set, it's everything is manageable.
And in traditional Irish tradition. Bye. 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 Bye.
Good luck. Good luck.